Definitions you must know about spinal trauma. First is stability. Stable fracture is a fracture that doesn't cause any spinal deformity or neurological impairment, while unstable fracture is a fracture that causes spinal deformity or neurological impairment and normally requires surgery to prevent further spinal cord or nerve injury. In central cord syndrome, the upper extremity is affected more than the lower extremity and distal muscles more than the proximal one. The prognosis is usually good for recovery of ambulation, but the patient is less likely to recover from upper extremity function. The mechanism of central cord syndrome is hyperextension with pre-existing canal stenosis. Posterior cord syndrome, usually the spinothalamic tract injury, where motor response, pain reception, and temperature reception are not functioning. Vibration sensation, proprioception, and deep pressure sensation are intact. Brown-Séquard syndrome is when spinal cord undergoes hemiresection or hemisection. The motor function is disrupted on the side of the injury, while pain and temperature are affected on the contralateral side. Fracture is the best fracture of C1, which is actually associated with axial loading of the cervical spine. This can be stable or unstable and normally treated with halo jackets. Odontoid C2 fracture can be classified according to Anderson classification into type 1, 2, or 3, where type 1 is an avulsion at the tip of the odontoid, type 2 is at the base of the dens, and type 3 is through the body of C2. Normally, the treatment for type 2 and 3 are surgical fixation. Two patterns of lower cervical fractures are the wedge fracture, which is mostly stable and treated with a cervical collar, and the teardrop fracture, which is commonly unstable, results in the anterior inferior part of the vertebral body being disconnected from the rest of the vertebral body due to flexion and axial loading, normally at the level of C5. And it is a very unstable fracture, normally requires surgery. The first mechanism of injury is compression, which is axial loading, normally at the level of C5, C6, and it is usually stable with no disruption of the posterior bony structures or ligaments. Hyperextension injury in elderly patients, normally stable, but it can lead to neurological impairment like central cervical cord syndrome. In facet subluxation or dislocation, it can be either on one facet or two facets. In unifacet dislocation, normally the translation of one vertebra on top of the other will be less than 50%, and in bifacetal translation will be more than 50% on radiograph, and it requires urgent reduction and stabilization. Chance fracture, or sometimes called the seatbelt fracture, is a fracture that results from a flexion injury to the spine, and it consists of a compression injury to the anterior portion of the vertebral body with transverse fracture through the posterior element of the vertebra and vertebral body. The most common site is at the thoracolumbar junction, T12L1. It can be purely bony or purely ligamentous or bony ligamentous injury. This is why it is very important to ask for an MRI scan if you suspect this type of injury and you can't see any bony fracture on a plain X-ray. It is very important to note that the most common direction of disc herniation is the posterolateral direction due to the presence of the posterior longitudinal ligament on the posterior aspect of the disc. Scoliosis can be divided into four main types. The first and the most common type is the idiopathic adolescent scoliosis, which compromises about 70% of the cases. It's called idiopathic because it develops without a known cause. It usually affects the population around puberty, and it is more common in females. The second most common type of scoliosis is the congenital scoliosis, which means that there is a congenital abnormality in the shape of the vertebra, like hemivertebra and bony bars. The third type is the neuromuscular scoliosis, which means it is associated with neuromuscular disease like Duchenne muscular dystrophy, spinal dystrophies, and neurofibromatosis. So it is very important to look for any findings of these diseases on the patient on examination. Syndromatic scoliosis usually occur in some syndromes like Down syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Marfan syndrome, and you can see the feature of this syndrome on examination on the patient.